We are talking about the movie BHOOT, Part 1, The Haunted Ship. This one is directed and written by Banu Pratap Singh, and this one stars Vicky, Kaushal as Priti. Now, I'm probably butchered those names, I do apologise. Why am I doing this movie? Well, I have had a flurry of views and subscribers from India. So, hello to Indian viewers. But I thought it might be fun and maybe even a little bit fair to maybe look at some movies coming from that kind of region. Now, bear in mind I have no experience of this sort of thing, so you're getting a white English guy's opinion from a Bollywood horror movie. Now, this one is apparently the first in a trilogy of movies, but it is actually a somewhat of a complete story. It doesn't really leave it on a cliffhanger or anything like that. So what's the story? Our main character, whose name I'm not going to try and pronounce again, it's just horror. I can't do it. So I'm just going to call him the main character, and he works as some sort of customs and excise agent on this kind of like this Dockland area. And we see a prologue at the beginning of the movie, I think based in 2001, and there seems to be some type of paranormal activity going on this kind of like tanker. And we will learn more about that a little bit later, as this tanker, you know, over a decade later, washes up on shore. And our main character and obviously the people that he works for are part of the team to go and investigate it. And there's no sign of the crew that they've all disappeared, and no one really knows what's kind of gone on. It's very kind of dark and spooky in there, and there appears to be some type of supernatural presence on there, and there is many kind of set pieces in regards to what happens in regards to that. And as the movie progresses, it kind of turns into more of a mystery with a variety of reveals that happen throughout the film. Now, that's your basic plot synopsis in a nutshell. So what do I think about this movie? So I was very impressed with the production value, first and foremost. This is a beautiful looking movie with some overall very, very impressive special effects. The scene, for example, where we have this ship washing up on shore will evoke memories of Dracula as he kind of that ship kind of washes up on shore on the coast of England in Bram Stoker's novel. Very, very eerie. And the kind of the set design, the location shooting absolutely invokes like a decayed and kind of rotting, spooky skeleton of a ship that is a fantastic location for a kind of supernatural horror movie. But there's some fantastic cinematography here as well. Some really kind of like well composed shots and sequences that I feel work really well. And as a kind of a Western audience member, I suppose, I found this movie very accessible. It's taken seriously. And is a good movie with well-rounded characters. We get some backstory in regards to our main character, and he himself has somewhat of a tragic backstory. I really enjoyed the interplay with him and his kind of like his partner and I guess kind of best friend, and they have some kind of quite sort of comedic kind of like banter between the two of them and stuff like that. And as the movie progresses, there's more and more reveals. It will have a reveal, something's kind of like shown us to the audience, and then a little while later there'll be something else, and then something else. So this movie very much kind of is very much a mystery as well, and kind of it will give you the answers to most of the questions that you'll have as the film progresses. There are some fairly good kind of like creepy moments within the movie. They are kind of peppered throughout. And they are somewhat varied as well in regards. It does rely a little bit too heavily on jump scares for my tastes, but it's pretty well done here. So what doesn't work for me? Well, like I said, this is a part one of a trilogy. It's difficult to see where this kind of would lead to move into another film, to be honest with you. But to be honest, I actually think that's probably pretty good. I actually would rather they had just killed, didn't say it was a part one, in all fairness. It just made it seem like you're expecting more to happen to a certain degree and to set up the next movie, which this really doesn't. But, well, that's a good thing. Do I have any critiques about the film that we've got? Okay, so there are a couple of small plot holes here. For example, when the first night when this ship is kind of washed up on the sea, there's no police guarding it, no one to stop people from exploring on it, which of course they do. We get a couple of young people going exploring on the ship, and that would clearly happen. Things like there's just a few little kind of plot holes here and there that just seem to be somewhat overlooked. Another kind of one, the backstory to our main character and what happens to his family is not actually revealed until quite a way through the movie, but we are meant to sympathise with this character beforehand. And I think that reveal could have been better off coming a little earlier, because there's a scene which therefore is a little bit confusing. Maybe it's lost in translation from when I watched it in a subtitled version, but to me it was like that scene explaining what's happened to his family should have been a little earlier, because it kind of doesn't make a lot of sense having it where it is. There's also some unresolved plot threads here in regards to some supporting characters that just seem to disappear, and their fates aren't really revealed. It doesn't seem like such a big plot point to move on to the next film, to be honest, but nonetheless, it just seems like a little bit of an oversight, and that's the only thing I would say with this movie. There are a few oversights here and there. And the only other thing I would say is the movie loses some of its creepiness when the reveals happen. So when we get the answers, and it is quite a twisty, turny plot, which I actually appreciate on its own right, but at the same time I feel it loses some of its creepy appeal. We get a reveal happen about our antagonist, and the next shot of the antagonist, I don't know, it's kind of like it deflates the tension a little bit. But overall, I was very impressed with this movie. It was, it's a great setup, fantastic looking movie. I really enjoyed the actors here, and as far as I know, this is the first time our main actor here has done a horror film, and it's a competently well-made, well-structured movie that has good reveals that make sense and don't kind of come out of nowhere, but you think, oh man, that's quite a fun reveal, and the story structure here is pretty good, hampered by I think only a few little oversights and things like that, to be honest. Some of the effects, again on the second half, there are a little bit too CGI on occasion. But I have no real big complaint to this movie. I really did quite enjoy this film. I did check out a couple of other reviews before I did my own one, and generally speaking, it's a real mixed bag. There were some quite negative reviews here, but I actually thought this was quite a solid horror movie. And if you like kind of ghost stories and mysteries, then I think you'll appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see I have a suspicion where this might go in a second movie, but maybe I'll check the next ones out. So there you go. That is the review of this movie. What did you think of it? If you have seen it, and if you are a viewer from India, would you like to see kind of more of this style stuff on the channel? And maybe you can even contribute. There you go. As far as the rating, I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. It's a solidly made film, entertaining, great atmosphere, pretty good effects, and some interesting and fun characters. 7 out of 10. What do you think of it if you've seen it? Or would you see it based on my review? Thanks for watching, and bye for now.